everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about our project lesson that we were to create, and I have chosen to use Microsoft Word and PowerPoint. So the lesson that I'm using is lesson 9, formatting a research paper. So for this objective, the students will be able to compose a research paper using MLA style format. And the students will be able to create citations, develop a works cited page, insert footnotes and endnotes, build a table of contents, add captions, generate and modify headers and footers, insert a cover page, and lastly, create bookmarks. So for the essential question, I will have my students kind of ponder this question and this idea of a research paper and its purpose. So I would ask my students, how do you format a research paper in Microsoft Word? And why is this important as you advance in your education and even career? So I would like to begin the lesson by asking my students if anyone can define and discuss the importance or the important features that are included in a research paper. So I suspect that most of my students can come back with some answers, some things like a works cited page, maybe footnotes and endnotes, a table of contents, possibly headers and footers, but they might not actually know how to implement these using Microsoft Word. So that's what we'll be talking about today, and that's what the students will actually be learning, and they will be developing a project of their own once we go through this brief lesson. So I'll start by showing you a PowerPoint presentation on the MOS skills needed to create and design a successful MLA research paper. So first I would ask my students to go ahead and open up the project from their data files, which is Lesson 9, First Ladies. And then they would also take out their study guides, which they would take notes and fill in the blanks throughout the presentation. So I'll be stopping periodically throughout the presentation, and we'll be completing parts of the guided practice, which you see here on the right side of my screen. So I have split my screen. One will show the PowerPoint presentation, and the other will show the First Ladies activity that we will complete as a class together as we work our way through this presentation. So like I said earlier, I'm sure that many of my students have had some experience with research papers, whether that's in English or history. But with this project, I really want my students to focus on those key components that Microsoft Word provides us with so that we can incorporate them into our research papers. And that's things like a cover page, table of contents, footnotes, endnotes, and etc. So those are the key factors, and that kind of ties back in to some of the questions, the essential questions that I asked earlier on in the period. So first, I would ask my students, obviously, to please save the document, the Lesson 9 folder, and then we will begin working. So the first slide is all about plagiarism. And so this is something that I actually added. It was not a part of the curriculum. But I chose to add this because I think it's extremely important. And what I like to let my students know is that when working on a research project, it is so important that you use your own words. So obviously, we know that it is illegal to use someone else's work. So I really try to emphasize this because I think sometimes it's easy to drag information from the internet or from third parties and then copy them and assume it is our own. So I kind of just reiterate the importance of plagiarism. So in the next slide, we'll actually start working in the actual First Lady's assignment. So we'll begin setting up the paper in actual MLA format. So on the upper hand ribbon, or at the top bar, we will select the ribbon that says Reference Command tab and select MLA. Once you have done this, you'll go back to the Home Command tab and using the shortcut key, Control+A, which is Select All. You can do this, or you can go to your editing group and you can select all. So in the paragraph group, select line spacing, and I want you to change it to double spaced and 12-point font. So now we are going to add at the top of the first page, we're going to insert our name, teacher, date, and class. So first, last name, teacher, date, and class. Then we'll select the title of the report. We will center this on our page. We will make it bold and make sure that we are using 12-point font once again. All right. So now that everyone has this, I would potentially wait on the students. If they needed more time, I would give them time. I would walk around the classroom to make sure everyone is to this point before we move on. So now in the next slide, so this is all about citations. So Word 2013 has so many features that allow the users to insert correctly formatted citations. So the first one for citation, so this is an excerpt from the source of information, and you can actually delete this without deleting the source. And so I'll explain what that means here in just a little while when we actually input. And then also source, this is the actual place where you retrieve your information from. So now we're going to enter in 3 resources to be used in the work cited from the references. So we'll go to the Command tab and we'll go to Insert Citation. So again, we'll go into the Reference Command tab and we will insert citation. So as you can see, I already have 2 of the sources already inserted, and for the sake of time, I will not add any more. But what I would like for you to see is that you can insert a citation, you can add a new citation, and then you would select the type of source that it is, whether it's a book, conference proceedings, an article, website, or etc. And then you can see there's a place for author, title, year, city, and so forth. There are the option that you can click in the checkbox in the lower left-hand corner where you can show all bibliography fields, and then you can scroll through that to see those as well. So here my student would actually start implementing the first source, and then they would add new source. So here's what it would look like when you go back into that insert citation, and if the students wanted to add the 3rd citation or their 2nd citation, they would just simply click add new source and it would pull it up. So like I said earlier, you can actually delete a citation without deleting it from the source code. So what does that mean? Well, that means if it is in your works cited and maybe you didn't use it throughout your research paper, you could potentially delete this off your works cited, but it would remain in your sources. So that way you would still have it if you chose to use this further on throughout the project. All right, so remember you can go into the citations and bibliography group and you can go into manage sources if you needed to edit or delete. So that's very important. Just remember that you can go in to the manage sources, and this is where you can add or delete sources if need be. So at this point, I'm going to continue reviewing the PowerPoint and letting the students complete their notes, and then we will continue updating the research paper with the features we have been talking about. So what is a table of contents? Well, a table of contents is a list of parts of a book or document organized in the order in which the parts appear by page number. So appears at the beginning of a document. So tab leaders, what are these? These are symbols that appear in a table of contents between a topic and the corresponding page numbers. So the first thing I would like for you guys to do, I would like for you to just scroll through the report and notice that there are paragraph headings. So we need to format these in order for Microsoft Word to actually create this table of contents. So you're going to select the paragraph headings, introduction, and doing this, you're going to hold down your control key, and you're going to select all the other paragraph headings. So you've already selected introduction, so you'll move forward with women in politics, history of first ladies, role of first ladies. Oops, sorry. Power of first ladies, and then lastly we'll have the conclusion. And so here you would go up to the Home tab, and over where it says Styles, and you can see there are different paragraph headings, you could select heading 1. And this will notify Microsoft that we are going to be using these